All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you live this Monday evening to recap our Rams win over the New Orleans Saints 34-10 yesterday. Jake, it was a solid Rams win, which was very exciting. It's always nice to get the win, especially so after our bye week where we had to go a whole week without Rams football. It was excruciating. It's always a sad time for us. I know during the bye week when it's like Sunday and we're like, oh my God, the Rams aren't playing. It feels very, very weird, very strange, but we waited it out and we were rewarded with a win. Jake, I felt like this just really was a solid team win all around. It wasn't a perfect game by any means, but I think offensively, especially, it was really nice to see this offense continuing to operate on all cylinders, get multiple people involved. What were your thoughts just on this game overall?
I thought this was a complete win. Obviously, we could talk about the kicking game, and we will, but I thought all three phases did contribute for this win. Because say what you will, the Rams are actually third in the league in terms of their kicking unit. Now I'm talking about kicking the field goal, but I'm the kickoff unit. So there are some good things to take away from the kicking team, but the defense playing like one of the best in the league. I mean, just the sheer dominance of the Saints. It's a season high, Alexis. I don't know if you saw this. Almost 44 minutes time of possession in this game. If you were a Saints fan hoping to see Tyler Shuck throw the football, you didn't really get much because the Saints barely had the football. 16 minutes in a 60-minute game is absolutely diabolical. And the Rams defense dominated. The secondary was great. We saw the best game of his career in Emmanuel Forbes. He showed up. Nate Landman had a punch out. Braden Fisk had his first sack of the year. But then you look at the offense. And the offense continued. And the thing that I love the most is this was coming off a bye. This was coming off the fact that they hadn't been in LA for quite some time because they stayed on the East Coast after beating the Baltimore Ravens. They actually stayed in Baltimore. They practiced in a baseball field. And then they went over to London, took care of business against the Jaguars. And you know how normally teams kind of come out of the bye and they're feeling a little rusty? Cough, cough. The Detroit Lions. Yeah, the Rams didn't do that. They took care of business. So this team looks like it's really coming together at the right time. And I mean, I've been saying they're the best team in the league since the start of the year, but they really feel that. I understand they played a bad Saints team. You could say the Jaguars aren't the best team either, and the Ravens, but I think it's just a sign. I mean, when you're able to go and just dominate the Jaguars and the Saints, I mean, the good teams really blow these teams out. And while we were talking a win is a win against the Ravens, those blowout games, you can't minimize. So, Matthew Stafford has 9 touchdowns through 2 games. He has 16 touchdowns, no interceptions his last 5, and he's been the MVP. He's the best quarterback right now in the National Football League, and now he's getting on the same page with Davante Adams, who you and I were talking about earlier in the season. They haven't really been able to get things going, and they were really forcing those targets. Well, now it's coming naturally, and you can see those guys have developed a serious rapport. And then you have Puka Nacua. It sounds like he's going to be okay. You got Kyron Williams going over 100 yards. It's a really good spot to be in right now. And it's a weird spot where I don't know if I would make a trade at the deadline. I'm not against it, but I don't know if I would change anything about this team currently except for the special teams coordinator, but we'll get to that.
I agree. I definitely agree with you there. And Jake, I think something that's so heartening kind of to see about how these Rams have played the past few games is really offensively. And you kind of touched on it with Devontae Adams, right? And I think it speaks to a bigger problem that the Rams had earlier this season in the red zone. Really, really struggled in the red zone to start the season. Really weren't able to score hardly at all. I mean, if they were, running in with Kyron Williams, right? They kind of just couldn't really figure it out. And it seems that Devontae Adams has become the red zone guy. I mean, just one play, him one-on-one with the corner, it seems to be automatic every time, right? Him and Stafford have really worked out the timing of that perfectly. But I think even outside of the red zone, we're starting to see more guys get involved, which is something that we really wanted to start the season. It felt like, Puka Nacua and then Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams were the only three guys that were getting any targets. And for some games that worked, right? I mean, we obviously Puka Nacua is automatic, right? He's wide receiver one, very reliable. Kyron Williams was really reliable in the running game, and then he also has come into his own as a receiver. So he had some receiving touchdowns as well. And then, Devontae Adams, it took a while to get that connection going, but now they've got it going. But we really wanted to see like tight ends get involved, some other receivers like a Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell, who unfortunately is now on IR, but earlier in the season, getting like Mumfield involved, right? Then looking at your other tight ends, Davis Allen, Terrence Ferguson, who we've been screaming to get involved. He only got 2 targets, which quite frankly I didn't think was enough. We could talk more about that later, but I would like to see him utilized more and more because when he is, good things happen. But really, I mean, the Rams had 4 different tight ends that they use, right? I mean, that's crazy considering earlier in the season we were begging for more tight end usage, right? I remember posting a meme. It was Michael Scott meme. I think it was like week 2, 3, or 4. I posted the meme where I was like, wow, it's so nice seeing other teams utilize their tight ends. I'd love to be part of one day. That like
Yes.
office meme. Because it was like for a while, it just felt like they weren't doing anything. Like, especially, in Tyler Higbee's absence. It's kind of like the Rams weren't really sure how to get that going. But now look at what they've done. You've got 4 separate tight ends being utilized. So it's really, really nice to see. It feels like this Rams offense is getting more fluid. They're building more chemistry. They're getting more creative. I think Sean McVay has kind of diversified his playbook and his play calling a little bit, and it feels a little bit more balanced. So that's really, really nice to see. And that's something that I felt like was really apparent against the Saints offensively. Jake, I mean, I don't know if there was any critiques you had of the way that the offense, was run. I kind of brought up Terrence Ferguson. I'd like to see him utilized a little bit more. I don't know how much of that is like a valid criticism and just me wanting to see him play, because they do have 4 tight ends running. I thought that the run game looked pretty solid, and I have some thoughts on that, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints with the offense. Saw more 13 personnel, 3 tight end sets. Just want to give a huge shout out to Davis Allen. I think he's made significant strides as a blocker. It's allowing them to do different things. Parkinson, we know, can do both things. We know Tyler Higbee, and now Terrence Ferguson is showing he can do both things. When you have 4 tight ends in that room that are able to play and it's interchangeable, whether you use them in line, you use them out wide, you can, use them as a receiver, you can use them as a blocker, whether it's pass protection or, run blocking. It really creates different looks. And, what you'll see is the first play of the game, or the first touchdown of the game to Tyler Higbee, he's wide open. And people are wondering, how the hell did that happen? And I saw a lot of Texans fans were like, Nick Caley, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing that? Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw that. So point being, you have 3 tight ends. What that does now is it creates kind of like that bunch set where you have, just jam-packed at the goal line, makes it look like you're more apt to run. Well, now it also creates a lot of havoc and it creates a lot of traffic. And so you have those 3 tight ends on the right side of the formation. And if anybody doesn't follow their man, then you only have a limited amount of time to cover because that is a pitch and catch touchdown. And you could see one of the Saints players just clearly doesn't see Tyler Higbee leak out and go for, the pass, and he's left wide open. And that, of course, is done because you have put on film you're not afraid to run the football at the goal line. You did a ton last year. Kyron Williams was like essentially your cash in, right? You could always go to him when you needed a score in the red zone. Well, this year they're not doing that as much, but it's still out there on tape, and the resume is just out there. People know, hey, okay, they can run with Kyron Williams. We have to watch out for that. So when you're in 13 personnel, the last thing teams are expecting you to do is throw the football at the goal line. They're expecting you to run with extra beef up front, extra blocking, and they don't do that. And so now oh my God, they were ready for the run. They're not ready for the pass. Tyler Higbee leaks into the end zone, touchdown, Rams go up. And that was just the start of it. But when you put that out on tape against the Saints or anybody, now the next team is going to see that and be like, we're not going to let that happen. And this is where you start to, they zig, you zag type thing, where now the 49ers are going to be cognizant of the fact that the Rams are going to use more 13 personnel. This is not something they did at all the last time they faced the 49ers. So now the 49ers are going to have a heavy emphasis on that. Robert Saleh is going to be like, hey, watch out. When we go in the red zone, expect them to, do this. And now this is where Sean McVay can, it's kind of pick your poison. And if you want to be creative here, you can get a motion going. And that's the thing. And we've seen that. And they started to use more motion with Davis Allen. They were using motion with, Terrence Ferguson. There was a play in particular, didn't actually go anywhere, but they had a man deep down the field. It was Devontae Adams. It's an incomplete pass. It is what it is. It's shot play. You're not going to hit 100% of them. But when you attempt a shot play, you're taking a shot down the field. A shot's like a roll of the dice. And Matthew Stafford's such a good thrower of the football that you're not really worried about it getting picked. You're either like, he's either going to overthrow him strategically or he's going to put it right where it needs to be. It's going to be a catch. Well, that was brought on because they used Terrence Ferguson to motion to the left. And when he motions to the left, you can see almost instantaneously the team, the whole defense is starting to worry, oh, they're going to go to 18. And now you've created that on film where guys are worried about a rookie tight end who we've been begging to get the football. And now because he's out there, teams have to be aware, oh, crap, they're going to throw to him. He had 50-plus yards in this game on 2 catches. He's catching everything. And now he's learning how to block. So, Alexis, I think the big thing here about this offense, about this passing attack, is that they're passing to set up the run. They didn't run a ton to start. They end up with over 40 carries in this game for 171 yards on the ground. And some would say, yeah, that's not a lot, but the Saints have a lot of guys up front. You got a Cam Jordan. You got, a Granderson, right? I almost said Curtis Granderson. That's baseball. But you got Carl Granderson. Yeah. You got Cam Jordan. You got Brian Brissy, right? You got Demario Davis. These are good players. I think people forget. The Saints are probably the worst team in football right now. I think it's mainly because of the quarterback decision. I don't think Shuck is even better than Rattler. But that said, they still have talent. And you look at that defense, and there's a lot of talent all over that defense. So it's a little bit harder to run the football when they know you're going to continue to run it. And that's what I thought was so impressive when you watch Kyron Williams, you watch Blake Corum. These guys are still getting yards later in the game, despite the fact the Saints know they're just trying to get out of there with the win. They're ready to play the 49ers. We've already won this game, right? We don't want anybody to get hurt. So now it becomes harder to run the football because they're expecting you to run the football. I don't think people talk about that nearly enough.
Well, right. And Kyron Williams had 114
Yeah, he was great.
yards, 114 rushing yards. That was great against, the Saints defense. And I think that's something that the Rams, I think, are finding a little bit more balance with in the run game. I think that there's been times where the Rams have abandoned the run game, right? We've talked about it a lot on this show, and it really hurts the team. So to see this balanced attack between rushing and passing has been really, really fun to see, and kind of a relief to see from this Rams offense. But yeah, you look at like Devontae Adams, right? Another multi-touchdown game with 2. Puka Nacua had a great touchdown. Tyler Higbee. Then you see Kyron Williams, 4th and 1, by the way, which was crazy. That's kind of what I figured they were going to do there to throw the Saints off. But still, 4th and 1, rushing touchdown, a little bit crazy there, but it worked, so we can't complain. So you see all these guys getting touchdowns, and this is, I think, what the Rams' destiny has been this entire season. It just took them a little bit longer, I think, to figure it out. So I think that now that they're here, I think it's only going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and they're going to have a really big test against a division rival. Next Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers, who, when we played them, and we'll do a whole other episode about the 49ers. This is simply just to recap, the Saints game. But, when we played the 49ers earlier this season, right, it was just like one of those weird games where, unfortunately the 49ers did a really good job with Mac Jones and that like dink and dunk on the defense. And I don't think that the defense is going to allow that to happen this time. I don't think that I think that this defense is also very much like our offense, getting hotter. And I think that they're getting more chemistry, and I think they're figuring things out as they go as well. So I think that, what we saw from this defense against the Saints, and let's it was a rookie quarterback, right? His first NFL start against kind of a struggling Saints offense. We're not going to pretend that that's not true, but this defense showed that they have all the tools to be consistent and to put together 4 quarters of consistent defensive football, which earlier in the season we didn't always see, right? Games like Philly and the 49ers, the 2 losses were a little bit up and down from both the defense and the offense. But I think it's been really interesting to kind of see how the defense have put things together. Jake, looking at how the defense played yesterday, what were your thoughts on that?
Oh, I loved watching it. I love. So Darius Williams doesn't play, and there are some people that were concerned. It's like you're playing the Saints. I hate to be that guy, but you can't lose to the Saints in SoFi. You just can't. And you're not going to lose. I knew right away when they benched Rattler, who, by the way, played about 6 good games out of 8, and then they just kind of made him the scapegoat. I knew right away when they benched Rattler, they had no chance of winning this football game. None. And I don't even think Shuck was that bad. I just don't think he had a chance. That's the thing. I mean, Rattler was not afraid to throw down the field and be a gunslinger. Shuck didn't really get a chance to do that, and he's just not the quarterback that Rattler is, because Rattler had seen 8 games. So Shuck had only been thrown in last week. And then I was watching the tape and I'm like, he made some really good throws. I'm not trying to hate on him, but he's also like 27 as a rookie. So there's that too. But I think the big thing here is that you saw, I mean, this is key. Darius Williams is inactive. So what happens? Well, now slides in Emmanuel Forbes. And while they're using a bit of a rotation going into this game, Darius Williams being out means there's not going to be a rotation. And I thought, Emmanuel Forbes was the one that stood out to me the most, because I think he made the most of this, this opportunity and being the starter for the first time since week 1, really, where he didn't have to look over his shoulder. He was named the starter with Akello Witherspoon, and he gets his first interception of his NFL career. And that's crazy because he had tons of interceptions in college, but he just hasn't been able to play with, that confidence. He hasn't been able to play with that urgency, that instinctive nature, the thing that made me such a fan of his coming out of college. And so you finally started to see it's clicking a little bit with him. And how so? I mean, is it just oh yeah, he made a nice interception? It wasn't just that. I mean, you see the tackle he makes on Taysom Hill. And you're thinking, I mean, they call this guy the Slim Reaper, and here he is going up and making a tackle. But how about Forbes? 3 pass breakups in this game. That is the game ball to me. Obviously, Landman punching it out was huge. Like I said, Braden Fisk getting his first sack of the year was huge. I thought Byron Young, obviously getting the sack. It was the penalty. I'm not going to get too much into it. Fine, whatever. But I like that, that rep. Kobe Turner should have had a sack, and I saw his father advocating for it on Twitter, and I agree with him. If it doesn't matter if it is a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, whoever, if you take a direct snap and you are tackled behind the line of scrimmage and you do not move forward, that's a sack. I don't care. That needs to be a sack. So I think Kobe Turner deserves a sack for that. I liked what I saw. Tyler Davis had a nice batted pass at the line of scrimmage. I thought Quentin Lake played well. I thought Cameron Kinchins was everywhere. 5 solo tackles, tied for the lead because they were hardly on the field. So, yeah, I thought the defense played spectacular. And how about Landman? Not just throwing the punch on the ball, but like not hitting the helmet while doing it, unlike some other people. So shout out to him.
Yeah, I mean, he has perfected the peanut punch.
He has.
I mean,
It's
he
insane.
he really has got that like timing down, and just seems to find those opportunities where you just see him wind up and get it. Just popped it out. Beautiful to see.
Yes.
Yeah, this defense just really is fun to watch, and like I said earlier, I think they're getting better and better each game. And they're getting hot. They're finding the chemistry, especially in that secondary. There's been a lot of shuffling around, right? And we're going to see Roger McCreary come in probably next week, against the 49ers. So another new face. So to see what they've been able to do kind of and with kind of change and moving around, but still keeping this consistency and still getting better, should really make Rams fans happy that they seem to be kind of figuring it out and they are putting together really, really solid games. So, Jake, we've talked about the offense, we've talked about the defense. That leaves one unit left to talk about, and that is special teams. And this has been the Rams' Achilles heel this season. I mean, if you look at the two losses we had, and I don't think, if we're being genuine and we're being honest, the two losses that the Rams had this season, there was multiple things that went wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say the special teams is the only reason we lost to Philly and the 49ers, right? That's not true. Both of those losses had like just so many things go wrong, right? They were just bad losses. But special teams really hindered those performances, and there's been other moments in other games that have almost cost us with special teams. And you look at the NFC and you just look at the NFL as a whole. You are not going to make it very far if you can't do like the basic things right. You just aren't, because the other teams aren't going to make those mistakes. So, Jake, looking at special teams, looking at the kicking unit, what is your prediction for what's going to happen here? And what do you think the biggest problem is? And what do we do about it? Because it just can't keep happening going forward.
I love that you brought this up. You teed me up perfectly. I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I do kind of have a feeling of what's going to happen. So I believe, and I mean, I'm not saying I've talked to people about this. I probably should have, but I didn't reach out about it yet. I'm going to. But this is just my gut, is that they are not going to fire Chase Blackburn. It's hard to justify firing somebody that you go on record saying, I've been very pleased with the job that he's done. Sean McVay did that about Chase Blackburn today, and Ben Kotwicka, I don't even know how to say his name, but he is the assistant special teams coordinator. What I find interesting, though, is that he said that he was pleased with both coaches. But he also said something has to change. Enough is enough. And he used all of Monday, because it was a Victory Monday, so all the guys are really doing, I think he said modified Victory Monday. So what the guys are doing is they're coming in and they're lifting weights. There's not a huge walkthrough. There's not a practice. Like, it's just a Victory Monday. So that said, I feel like they used today, and I mean, he basically told us they used today to kind of go over and try and fix the kicking unit, which I love. Here's the thing. If you say you're pleased with somebody, I don't think you're going to fire them. But if you say something has to change, enough is enough, I don't necessarily, and by the way, he said he has a lot of faith in Josh Carty. That's like empty calories. If you're going to just cut Josh Carty, you're not going to say that. You'd be like, yeah, we're evaluating everything, right? He said that, but he also says, I have a lot of faith in Josh. So I find it interesting. So I went back to 2020 and I found the last one that I could find. I mean, maybe it's happened before. This is the precedent that I found. Back in November of 2020, the Chargers demoted their special teams coordinator, George Stewart, who was in the role from 2017 to 2020. They didn't fire him. They actually ended up promoting assistant special teams coordinator Keith Burns in the middle of the season. So they ended up keeping George Stewart as the assistant head coach, and he was on the coaching staff as an offensive analyst. So they realigned, they reassigned rather his job, and Burns took over. That's kind of what I think the Rams are going to do. And if they don't do it, say they don't make Ben the special teams coordinator, right? Then what I think is going to happen is, we've seen it before. There's a bunch of, I mean, if you go on the Rams.com and you look at the coaching staff, there's now the passing game coordinator, the pass rushing coordinator, there's all sorts of coordinators, right? Everybody has a different role. It's a way of promoting by creating new roles. So what I could see them doing is making Ben Kotwicka the kicking operations specialist. And that way, if you're pleased, I'm not saying you at home, folks. I'm not saying, I understand you're not. But
Yeah.
Sean McVay told us he's pleased with both of them. He mentioned Chase Blackburn. He thinks he's doing a good job. Something has to change. This is something. Chase Blackburn could even keep the reins as the special teams coordinator, but he focuses on what the Rams are good at right now, third in the league on the kickoff unit. And that is what he does. And he does things like that. And he focuses on that and he manages that while Ben Kotwica takes over the field goal operation. That, Alexis, is what I would expect to happen. I think we find that out either tomorrow or Wednesday. I don't get the vibe they're going to make a trade tomorrow, but stranger things have happened. I think the most important thing is this unit. And I also think a really important thing here is not having a knee-jerk reaction that is going to cost you down the road. And to me, a knee-jerk reaction would be to cut Josh Carty. I don't think it's based in reality. Think about it. Monday just happened. Sorry, guys. We're on to Tuesday. Tuesday tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 49ers. You can't sit there and tell me, yeah, this 49ers game is so important. We got to get the kicking right. And then you cut Josh Carty on a Tuesday and you give not even a full week for the next guy to come in and kick. And who is that going to be? I think if they went out and got anybody, I think I would go after Younghoe Koo, who is on, I believe, the Giants practice squad currently. But I don't think anybody out there is better than Josh Carty. And I think it's unfair if we're going to sit here and say, yeah, the kicking unit's an issue. The special teams coordinator's an issue. The protection's an issue. The snap was an issue. The hold was an issue. That we're like, I think everyone deserves to keep their job except for Josh Carty. That's ridiculous. So I'm not going to make that knee-jerk reaction. I hope the Rams don't. I don't think they are. I do think they're going to reassign Chase Blackburn, not fire him, and Ben Kotwica is going to take over this unit. I think that's the best move for the Los Angeles Rams moving forward.
Well, I also am not convinced that Josh Carty is the problem. I know that
I'm
there's
not either.
a lot of people, are just kind of reducing the issue to Josh Carty, but when you look at what's happening with these kicks, very rarely is it actually on Josh Carty. The first missed kick from yesterday, the laces were towards him. That's a
Yep.
holder problem. So that has nothing to do with if you kick the football perfectly, but the laces are faced towards you and you hit that, that's going to skew your kick, right? The other one, I don't believe was blocked, but it was close to being blocked, and he had a guy right up in his face as he was kicking. So that obviously is going to impact your vision and startle you, right? That's not supposed to happen. So that's a blocking issue. So if you go back and you watch most of the missed kicks from this season, the vast majority of them are not on Josh Carty. So I know that it's easy to kind of scapegoat the kicker when there's a missed kick, right? It makes sense. But I mean, the blocking has been horrendous. I mean, it's been absolutely horrendous. And, the holder has made a couple mistakes, which, wasn't a problem last season. Josh Carty wasn't a problem last season, right? So it's something has to give, and it is very puzzling, why this unit has just struggled so much on these kicks as a whole. But McVay's right, something has to change, and so maybe that is changing up the coaching unit. But I still am just convinced that it's just the guys that are out there. It's not good enough, and it can't happen. It's a very, one of the most basic things that you can do, right, in the NFL. And it's a very routine, and all teams do it. And for some reason, the Rams can just not figure it out. So we'll see. I'm not convinced a coaching change even fixes that, unfortunately, because the coaches aren't the ones on the field. But I think it's more symbolic, if anything. Maybe you put a new guy in there who lights a fire under everybody's ass, right? I don't know if that's the idea or what it is, but it's the guys really just need to step up and they need to get it together. And I also just think at this point, if there's any concern with Carty, it's not really his skill, it's the psychological aspect of it, right? You as the kicker now can't trust when you go up to kick an extra point that your team's going to block for you, or that your holder is holding the ball right? Like that can't be good. And then all of a sudden that becomes a problem psychologically when you go to kick the ball. So it's turning into it's spiraling, and I think that, this Rams team is way too good to have this problem. So, we'll probably have a lot more to say on this when we record our episode Friday night to prepare for the 49ers game. I'm sure more information will be out by then, but yeah, I mean, it's not good enough. And thankfully this was a game that you can afford to have those little mistakes happen, but against a team like the 49ers, you can't. So hopefully they play better next week. But Jake, before we get into supers, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, real quick, because we'll get a word from Sleeper, of course, who's the sponsor of today's show. I wanted to address Josh Carty and how long he's taking to kick field goals. I have to admit, I do think there's some merit there. Just like I thought there was some merit with him kicking the knuckleballs, and now all of a sudden notice he's not doing that anymore. I think there's a reason for that. When Pat McAfee brought that up, I don't think he was just, shooting the breeze. This is somebody who's been a special teamer. Like, he's one of the best. Like, he knows. And I do tend to believe that was messing with his kicking. And you saw the trajectory. I mean, guy's a leg, and especially with these new footballs. I mean, Cam Little just hit a 68-yarder yesterday, broke the record.
Yeah.
So I have to believe that Josh Carty, whose longest is a 58-yarder that he absolutely annihilated. Josh Carty could hit a 70-yard field goal if he got all of it, right? Mm-hmm. I have no doubt. But there's something up. And obviously, I think, to your point, to have all sorts of variables that's like, oh, well, even if I kick it perfectly. And now I think there are people starting to wonder, well, what if Josh Carty's taking too long to kick and the guys are getting there too quick? That's certainly possible. I do feel like Josh Carty's taken a little bit longer than maybe I've seen in the past from kickers. He's definitely taken longer than the guy in San Francisco, Eddie Pinheiro. I watched him. He nearly slips every time he kicks it. He just hits line drives like he's Giancarlo Stanton in Major League Baseball. Like, they're not pretty, but they go through the upright, so who cares? And he hasn't missed one. But it's really interesting to watch because, he doesn't have any sort of precise, like, it doesn't look pretty. Josh Carty, it looks like everything's together. He just takes a little bit longer than some of the others. But that could just be me. That could just be you. That could just be, this is what happens when you watch a guy get blocked, and now all of a sudden, every time he kicks, it looks like he's taking longer than other kickers. This was an issue last year, though. So it makes me wonder, because he hit 25, 26 in a row coming into this season. And that's where the people that are like, Josh Carty has to go. I'm like, okay, do you want to go back to Lucas Haversick? Do you want to go back to, Maher? I mean, come on. Like, understand. Like, let's be rational here. Let's not just be knee-jerk and have a crazy reaction and do something that we'll potentially regret, because I'm sure the Rams regretted cutting Cameron Dicker, who's one of the better kickers in the league. I mean, they had him. They signed him as a UDFA, and they got rid of him, and they kept Tanner Brown. They've made mistakes. I mean, I'll be honest. I think Sean McVay let his ego get to him and got rid of Coach Bones because he went for it behind his back against the Cardinals. And you knew right then and there, he was getting fired after that. I don't think the Rams have ever had a great special teams coordinator since they fired Coach Bones, or they at least let him go. So I don't think you want to make a decision that you're going to regret. And personally, I think you'd absolutely regret a decision cutting a young kicker who has the talent Josh Carty has. You can fix it. I'm not saying hold on to him to the point where, I mean, we saw the 49ers. They probably should have won a Super Bowl one of those years. And a big reason they didn't, let's be honest, was Jake Moody. So if it gets to that point, you don't want to hold on to him to that point. But I think he's been way too good over his career. And we should stop acting like this is his rookie year and he just looks terrible and doesn't have like any sort of resume. He's got a resume. His rookie year was great. He had 85% of his kicks. And like I said, he made 25 or 26 in a row. So I think it's important. There's a lot of variables here. If it gets to the point where Sean McVay is saying, you know what? I think we fixed this kicking unit. I think the coaches are doing a great job, and you just got to make the damn kicks. Then at that point, fine. But until I hear that from him, I'm going to assume that there's a lot more layers to this, and that's just going to be my take on it. But, Alexis, we have Sleeper. You guys can click the link in the description below. You'll get a 100% bonus match up to $100 and a $20 free entry. You don't even have to deposit to get the $20 free entry. Use code JKB at sign up to get in on the action. Sleeper's awesome. We have our Dynasty League on there. You guys have daily fantasy to work with, touchdowns, rushing yards, predict, and win, all that good stuff. Be sure to check out our friends over at Sleeper. Again, JKB is the code. I think we got super chats.
We do. I have a quick word before super chats.
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to a company called Homage. They sent me some awesome Rams gear.
Nice.
You guys can see that. I got a couple pieces from them. They were very, very kind to send this to me. And guys, I'm not kidding. This is the softest hoodie I own. Legitimately, straight up, I'm willing to put my word on that. If any of you guys check out Homage's stuff, they have really, really cool Rams gear. This is like that old Rams logo. I love the yellow. It's that classic soul yellow that I wish the Rams would make jerseys out of. This color again. I miss the color rush jerseys. But guys, this is from Homage, and it's great, and I love it, and I've been wearing it, and I also got some tees from them too that I'll wear on the show. But I wanted to give them a shout out because it's very nice for them to send me some stuff to wear on the show, and I appreciate it. And everyone should go check it out. Get matching hoodies with me.
Yeah.
It's great.
There goes Alexis again, mispronouncing.
What did I say?
Homage.
How do you say it?
It's homage or homage.
Homage. Yeah. Oh, okay, you're true. Yeah, I don't know how to say it because I had like 3 people say it differently to me.
It's all good. I'm just messing with you. But I'm only messing with you because there's been precedent on this show. And you've literally pulled yourself out and been like, yeah, I don't know how to say his name. Like
well, I also with names, you know what my curse is?
Yeah.
I am so good with remembering people's names, but I do not remember pronunciations. Which I would rather just not remember the names. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Because fair. I will, like, with players especially, I have really good recall, but not on the pronunciation.
You say Kyron Williams, right? My brother calls him Kyran, and I cannot stand it. I feel like he does it on purpose to bother me.
I do say Kyron Williams, right? I also have the same problem with, like, cities.
Yeah.
Where I will remember, like, a city and, like, how it's spelled, and I can picture it in my mind, but then I don't know how to pronounce it.
Well, you don't call Chicago, so there you go.
Chicago, well, right. But, like, and I'm from Missouri. I don't call it Missouri.
Oh, see, you're missing out. You got to call it Missouri.
Some people from southern Missouri call it Missouri.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, that's like, but that I feel like is understandable. But, like, no, I do the same thing with cities where, like, I will know a city and then I will just completely butcher how I say it. I wonder, I need to look into that. It's like I'm really good visually, but not audibly. You know, how some people, like, are more visual learners or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm self-deprecating about it because I don't like it. But Homage, however you want to say it, go check out the... I really love this.
I really like it too. I have a few from them.
Yeah.
I got a Rams one, like the throwback, like the skull, like you have, but it's like yellow. And then I got the new logo, and then I got a Yankee one, so like old school Yankees. So yeah, it's cool. I love them, and I think they're long sleeve, like, what do they call them? Thermals? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
They're the best. I love the quality. So if you're rocking a hoodie, I would imagine it has the same quality. And that great. Thing, I wore it at the last 2 times I've been in LA. I've actually at the games, both games, the Eagles one and the 49ers one, I wore an Homage thermal. So I mean,
well, they have really cool, like, they do like characters. So they've got like Simpsons, like if you guys watch The Simpsons, they've got like
Mm.
the Simpsons and Rams like collabs, and they do like a lot of like brand like collabs with NFL teams. So it's really, really cool. But yeah, I was really excited to get this and I love it. Super soft, highly recommend. And if any of you go grab one, take a picture and send it to me where we can be twins.
Yeah. So
But okay, just want to shout them out real quick because they're very nice and they're very high quality too. If you guys check them out.
hell yeah. No, I can attest to that because I have myself a few.
Mm.
I also have like an NFL Jam one with Aaron Donald and Cooper. I've worn it on here before. Aaron
Oh
Donald and
yeah.
Cooper Cup.
hmm
Yeah, it's cool.
they've still got some Aaron Donald gear up on their website, I think.
Hell yeah.
Um, so
Nuisance, thank you for the 5. Just showing love, Ramley. I hope you're having a wonderful day, including everybody in the chat. Keep training, Jake. Horns up. Appreciate you, Nuisance. What am I training for exactly?
thank you,
oh,
nuisance.
oh my God. There was a thing in the comments section for yesterday's live stream, and people were like, hey, I think I'd rather have you at kicker, Jake. I'm here to tell you I couldn't hit a 9-yard field goal. So you don't want me kicking.
I could
How
probably
about
hit
you,
a
Alexis?
9-yard.
You're a former soccer player.
I did. I was a college soccer player. I could hit a 9-yarder,
Okay. There we go.
probably. Well, I don't know. My ankles are pretty bad now, but like in theory, I don't think I could consistently hit field goals in the NFL, especially with those grown men running at me like that.
Yeah, no.
Especially with the way that the Rams kicking unit's blocking right now. I
Oh,
don't
hell
think
no.
I think that would go very poorly. But no, unfortunately, like I don't think I could hit, like a 50 yarder or something cool like that. Even a 30 yarder, I don't think so. I don't have the leg strength for
I
that,
could probably hit a 20-yarder. That would be like pushing it. And keep in mind, I could probably hit a 20-yarder. I don't know if it'd be the one that was in the game. So, like,
Well,
I
right.
I might hit one out of like 20 kicks, but by the time that happens, I'm
It's
already
the con
cut. So,
Yeah, it's the consistency thing. Like the chat, I'm seeing Alexis for kicker. Done. We'll sign you, Alexis. Um, it would not go well. I would be in for not even a quarter. I don't think a quarter of an NFL game.
rude
Because
awakening.
like it's the consistency thing. It's like I could go out there and probably hit one,
Oh, yeah.
maybe. But to do it repeatedly, during a live game, just no chance, guys. It just I know my limits. I'd have a better chance at like doing a trick play and scoring a touchdown because I would just sneak. I'm so tiny. I would just, run off to the side and that'd be my dream.
Yeah, I would probably be better off as a quarterback, and that's probably not a good thing. Because I can,
Yeah.
well, I used to be able to throw. I could throw like 40, 50 yards. But could I hit a far hash throw? Probably not.
I couldn't see over the offensive line, like no shot.
Well, I'd
Like
have to
I'd
be
be in it.
Kyler Murray kind of running
Yeah.
around and picking my spots. But
Yeah, no, I don't think that unfortunately there's any position in the NFL that I would thrive at.
oh, okay. Silver is saying, he said, keep training because you mentioned you are working out and being healthy. Yes, I
Mm.
appreciate that. Definitely new year, new me. I already hate myself for saying that. But you appreciate that. Alexis, you've been training too.
I have. I'm
Shoot your
trying to get better.
Yeah. Like you're killing it, right? You're getting up at 5 a.m. and doing all that.
Been trying to do 5 a.m. workouts, guys. It sucks. It's not, but see, I think once I get into the routine of doing it, because
Mm.
that's my problem. It's getting it done, where like I will start doing a couple, and then like right now, it's like I haven't been hitting them. But then
Ah,
I'll hit it again, and then I'll be like, okay. And so it's just getting. It takes a while to just continually get up at 4:30 in the morning. And then once you do that, then it's great. But I'm trying to get consistent. So
yeah. You kind of told on yourself and you didn't have to.
no, well, because I want to be on. I don't want to pretend that like I've
Yeah, I know.
been, you
Transparent
know,
Alexis. It's a
I'm
good quality to have.
yeah, transparency.
Better Call Saul. Still haven't seen that. I should, but I like the name. Humphreys, thank you for the 5. Humphreys let that Saint defender get by him so easily, and Cardi panicked. Blocking is 90% of the issue. I would say Cardi needs to speed up his kicks.
I agree.
I definitely agree with that.
I definitely agree. I think the blocking is 90% of the issue. And my take on Cardi needing to speed up his kicks, I unfortunately think it's psychological. I think he's watching the holder and he's looking at the ball. So I think he's freaked out now because things have been going so poorly that I think instead of just going through his motion, I think he's quite literally looking down at the ball, and he's afraid of what happened the first kick yesterday where the laces were facing him, and I think that's what he's been doing. But I also just think psychologically, even aside from I think the timing of everything is thrown off, and I think he's just taking that extra 2 seconds to like check his surroundings, which you can't do. So he does need to speed it up, but it's not the reason he's missing the kick.
No,
and it's
I
not
don't
the
think
reason
so.
the blocking's bad, but I think it's just all bad.
Yeah, just it's definitely frustrating, I will say. It's definitely frustrating, but they'll I have a feeling they'll figure it out. And one quick thing I'll say about Sean McVay, he has had an issue with every single part of football except for special teams. Like an issue I'm talking that was like catastrophic. And I feel like it's good that he's going through this. This is the last step to Sean McVay being like a full-on complete coach. Having gone through all of the situations he's been through, the one with Jared Goff in the offense, 2022 without, Matthew Stafford, and you're rolling out, Bryce Perkins and John Wolford and, getting Baker Mayfield on 24 hours notice, and he's playing in a primetime game. Like, they went through that. The defense, right? The defense, Wade Phillips ends up getting let go, all of that. And now the special teams. And I just think it's just making Sean McVay a more well-rounded, better coach. I already think he's the best head coach in football. And another thing, coming off a bye the way they did, no lackadaisical moment, just ready to go. Love to see it. Going, to London and asserting your dominance, playing on the East Coast, playing efficiently on the East Coast, and then 2 blowouts in a row, something Sean McVay teams don't normally do. So, hey, if it's a changing of the guard here for Sean McVay and he's ascending, if you're a Pokemon fan, is he evolving? If he's evolving, man, like, I don't know how you're beating Sean McVay if he's evolving, because he's already so much better than most. That's why, I don't know, give it 5 years in the entire league. We'll have head coaches that'll be tied to his coaching tree. It's pretty wild when you think about it, but
there's already some.
Yeah, I mean, half the league, I would say, almost half the league. So it's crazy. Also, we're getting old. Kellen Moore was hugging Matthew Stafford, and I just realized, oh my God, that's right. Kellen Moore played on the Lions with Matthew Stafford.
We are old.
I can't. I just can't. But anyway, we don't need to just tell everybody how old we are. Deb, thank you for the 10. Late to the live, Deb, as always, but want to say hey to my faves. And it was nice to be at the game yesterday. My guy is on a heater. That's for sure. I'm glad you were there. They robbed him of 5 touchdowns, to be fair. That 5th touchdown, I mean, I know it was a face mask and can't do it, but how often do they call that?
Yeah.
And then that was the one where Cardi missed the kick. So, yeah, I mean, that was the game to be at. You love Matthew Stafford, and man, number 9, he is the MVP of the league. I'm so tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes rate ahead. Patrick Mahomes was so bad yesterday against the Bills. If he was even average, they win by a touchdown. They instead lose by a touchdown. He was horrendous. So, yeah. I don't really know what we're doing. Drake May, really like him. They're 7-2. They were my surprise team. They were my sleeper team. I said they'd go to the playoffs. But as much as I like Drake May, I'm going to be honest here. He tried to give away that game against the Falcons. Like, turnover, awful interception. Stafford hasn't thrown one in 5 games. And Drake May is playing against probably the easiest schedule I think I've ever seen. Did you see the strength of schedule? It's like 353.
Yeah, but it's still not as easy as the 49ers schedule.
No, it's easier. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I didn't know that statistically. I'm just being sarcastic, but
No, I get
like
what you're saying.
I'm mostly just annoyed because of the 49ers schedule is like we'll talk about it next week, but
Yes, we will.
I'm foreshadowing, guys. I'm spoiling the next episode.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like that. Deb, we really do appreciate you always
Yeah,
tuning
thank
in.
you, Deb. Thank you so much.
One of our all-time faves, not hiding it.
Yep.
Andrew, thank you for the 5. Imagine
Thank
how
you,
good
Andrew.
we'll be when Akello comes back, puts a smile on my face. You're damn right. I mean, right now, they're playing so good. PFF has them rated as the 3rd best coverage team in the league. When Akello comes back, what that's going to do is it's going to give him an opportunity to match up with any type of receiver. And that is awesome. And it's not just that. Akello is the best corner on this team. I firmly believe that. Darius Williams was balling out before the injury. Hopefully he keeps doing that. Kobe Durant's playing well. Roger McCreary is a starting caliber player. And Emmanuel Forbes is coming off the best game of his career. So basically stock up for the cornerback room. The safety room we already knew was really deep, and I still think it's the best in the league. Cam Kinchins is a baller. Cam Curl's a baller. Quentin Lake has become a star. Jalen McCullough. Like, then you have Landman. Then you have Omar Spates, who just absolutely depleted Alvin Kamara. And then you have that defensive front that everybody talks about. So, yeah, it's a really good sign. When Akello does come back, it is going to be so fun to watch because that is the final form of this defense. They're just missing Akello. That's it. So, appreciate it, Andrew. Totally agree. And then Rusty, thank you for the 5. Jake and Alexis.
Rusty.
I've been very critical of Cardi for his inconsistency, but the blocking is pathetic. Either one guy or many do horrible jobs. Feels that way, man.
We agree. Unfortunately, it's true.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch when a guy's just sitting there. Then the ball snapped and he only has X amount of time to kick. And then all of a sudden you already see guys coming through. It's like, all right. And then, I mean, who knows? They have to have the analytics in-house to know if Josh Cardi is taking too long or if he's totally fine and not taking too long and they're just that bad. Because it's one or the other.
Well, and also he hasn't been taking this long. If you look at this is like a recent issue. So it's not that he has been taking too long to kick this entire season. They started having these really bad special teams blocking problems and then he started taking too long to kick. So I think it's a result of that. And like I said earlier, I think that he's quite literally checking the ball before he kicks it. And I also think just psychologically his timing and his rhythm is thrown off because the blocking is so bad that I just think that he doesn't know what's going on. And now it's turned psychological. And so like, that's obviously not good.
No, it's not.
It's just a
starts
problem
to become psychological. I mean, that's how the best kickers flare out. So obviously rooting for him to turn it around. I'm a believer in his I'm going to die on this hill. I really am. I think he's going to turn it around. And I think we're going to look back and be like, wow, can you imagine if we gave up on this guy? So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. But I think that's it. I think that's everything. Oh, we got another one from Zaylor Swift.
Thank you, Zaylor.
Thank you for the 5. Can we afford 2 first-rounders next year while having to pay Puka, Lake, BY, etc.? This is a great question because first-round picks are expensive, but I'll tell you right now, they're nowhere near as expensive as when the Rams got Sam Bradford. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. The rookie wage scale was changed in the new CBA after, of course, the Rams got the last grandfathered in ridiculous contract with Sam Bradford. But the rookie wage scale changed. That's why draft picks are more valuable than they've ever been because they're pretty easy and cost effective to manage. 2 first rounders, they're going to need at least, I'd say, $15 million in cap space with everything. So you could be onto something. I don't think they trade one of their first rounders at the deadline, but I don't even know who you would trade for. But yeah, I do think they can afford 2 first rounders. I do. So that's my take.
Yeah. Agree.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Jake, I think you're right. I think that's going to do it for us. Obviously really fun to celebrate a win on Victory Monday. Well, it wouldn't be Victory Monday without a win. So it's just fun to celebrate Victory Monday in general. But guys, we appreciate all of you tuning in tonight. We will be back Friday night to preview our matchup against the 49ers. So make sure to tune in Friday night. But guys, as always, until then, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter/X at the Alexis Craft. You can follow Jake at JK Bogan. And guys, we'll see you soon. But until then, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.